In the ongoing discussion about carbon pricing, some claim it's the culprit behind rising costs and decreased energy affordability. But let's dig deeper. New studies suggest that the impact of carbon pricing on prices and inflation might be smaller than we think. Carbon pricing affects household costs in two ways. First, it directly increases fuel prices based on greenhouse gas emissions. Second, it indirectly raises the prices of goods and services throughout the economy. But how much does it really impact our wallets? To answer this question, let's look to British Columbia, the first in North America to implement a revenue-neutral carbon tax in 2008. A recent study from the University of Calgary looked at the impact on the prices of goods and services. Surprisingly, BC's carbon tax of $65 per ton adds less than 0.3% to the cost for most items. From air transportation to everyday necessities like food and clothing, the impact is quite modest, debunking the myth that carbon pricing is a major player in the rising cost of living. The Bank of Canada also weighed in. It said that Canada's carbon price contributes only 0.15 percentage points to inflation. The governor of the Bank of Canada pointed out that global factors such as the war in Ukraine and the pandemic played a more significant role. The Bank of Canada said just the supply chain bottlenecks accounted for about a third of inflation when it peaked at 8.1% in 2022. And, let's not forget the role of extreme weather, which has been impacting global yields of staples like wheat and rice. This perfect storm of the pandemic, the wars and impact of extreme weather has had a bigger impact on inflation than carbon pricing. Also, carbon pricing is revenue neutral in many provinces. In provinces and territories without an equivalent carbon price, the federal backstop system levies the federal fuel charge. But the revenue from carbon pricing funds direct cash transfers to individuals, with most families receiving more in rebates than they pay in carbon taxes. In Ontario, for example, households received, on average, $300 more in rebates than they paid in carbon taxes in 2023. More importantly, let's not lose sight of the primary goal: fighting climate change. Raising the carbon price to $170 per ton by 2030 could eliminate an additional 96 million tons of emission, a significant step toward Canada's reduction targets. In the end, carbon pricing is not the villain some make it out to be. The impact on prices is small, and importantly, most families will benefit. So, the next time carbon pricing gets the blame, remember that carbon pricing is one of the most efficient tools to fight climate change, which is already impacting us in the form of increased wildfires, heat waves, flooding, etc.